The night the sky turned red, Marcus Hale thought the world was ending. He had seen many storms before. He had lived near Blackridge Forest for 5 years. He knew the sound of normal thunder. He knew how wind moved through the trees. But this was different. The clouds were not gray. They were deep red and dark purple, like fire burning behind smoke. The air felt heavy. The birds had stopped singing hours ago. Even the insects were silent. Marcus stepped outside his small wooden cabin and looked up at the sky. Something was wrong. He was not a brave man. He was not a hero. He was just a quiet man who wanted peace. After leaving the army years ago, he moved far from the city. No neighbors, no noise, no war, just silence. But silence was gone tonight. A deep rumbling sound came from above the clouds. It was not like thunder. It sounded alive, like a giant heartbeat. Marcus felt it in his chest. Then it happened. A bright silver light cut through the sky. Something large was falling. It moved fast, too fast. Marcus stepped back as the object crashed into the forest not far from his cabin. The ground shook hard. Trees snapped. Birds flew into the sky in panic. A wave of heat touched his face. For a moment, Marcus could not move. His mind told him to stay inside. Lock the door. Pretend nothing happened. But another part of him, the part that once ran into danger instead of away, told him to check. He grabbed his flashlight. He picked up his old rifle, and he walked into the forest. The smell of smoke filled the air. Broken branches covered the ground. Leaves were burning. The rain started to fall, but it was not enough to stop the small fires. Marcus followed the trail of destruction. Then he saw it. In a large crater, surrounded by broken trees, lay a creature he never thought he would see this close. A dragon. Not a giant one like in the news reports. Not one of the huge war beasts shown on military screens. This one was smaller, young. Its silver blue scales shined even in the dark. One wing was twisted badly. There were deep cuts along its side. Smoke still rose from its body. It tried to move. It failed. A low, painful growl escaped its throat. Marcus froze. Dragons were not myths anymore. The world had discovered them 10 years ago. They were powerful, intelligent, dangerous. Governments called them threats. Soldiers were ordered to shoot on sight. Marcus slowly raised his rifle. The dragon opened one eye. Their eyes met. Marcus expected anger, fire, hate. But what he saw was fear. The dragon was not attacking. It was scared. It tried to move again, but cried out in pain. Marcus lowered the rifle. "You're just a kid," he whispered. The dragon blinked slowly. Rain fell harder now. Cold drops hit the dragon's wounded body. It trembled. Marcus stood there for several long seconds. Helping it was dangerous. If the government found out, they would arrest him. If the dragon recovered and attacked him, he would die. If other dragons came looking for it. He did not finish that thought. But when he looked at the injured creature again, something inside him changed. He remembered what it felt like to be left behind. He remembered what it felt like to be alone in pain. Marcus made a choice. He stepped closer. The dragon growled weakly when Marcus touched its wing, but it did not attack. It was too tired, too hurt. Marcus worked carefully. He checked the broken wing. It was not fully torn. That was good. He ran back to his cabin and brought medical supplies. Bandages, alcohol, old army tools. He returned to the crater and began cleaning the wounds. The dragon growled again when the liquid touched its cuts, but did not move away. It allowed him. That surprised Marcus. "You trust me?" he asked quietly. The dragon's breathing slowly became calmer. Rain was turning into a storm now. Marcus knew he could not leave it there. With great effort, he tied thick ropes around a metal sled he used for wood. Slowly, inch by inch, he dragged the dragon out of the crater. It took hours. The dragon was heavy, even young. Marcus slipped many times in the mud. His hands were bleeding. His back hurt badly. But he did not stop. Finally, near midnight, he pulled the dragon inside his cabin. He locked the door. He placed blankets around the creature and restarted cleaning its wounds properly. The dragon watched him closely, not with anger, with quiet curiosity. When Marcus finished, he sat down against the wall, breathing hard. The storm outside grew louder. Then the dragon slowly lowered its head onto the wooden floor. Not in weakness, but in surrender. Trust. Marcus stared at it. He had no idea what he had just done. He had no idea that high above the storm clouds, massive shadows were moving. Inside a dark warship hidden in the sky, glowing golden eyes watched a screen. "The hatchling has been found," a dragon soldier said, and asked a deep ancient voice. "A human is protecting it." Silence filled the massive chamber. Then the ancient dragon general spoke slowly. "Prepare the army." Back in the cabin, Marcus closed his tired eyes for just a second. Outside, the sky began to fill with shapes, and they were coming. Marcus did not hear the first shadow. He felt it. The wooden walls of his cabin began to vibrate. Not from thunder, not from wind, from something bigger. The dragon inside the cabin suddenly lifted its head. Its eyes glowed faint blue. Its breathing became faster. It knew. Marcus slowly stood up. Outside, the storm stopped. Just like that. No rain, no thunder, only silence. That scared him more than the noise. He walked toward the small window and looked outside. At first, he saw nothing. Then he looked higher, and his blood turned cold. The sky was moving. Hundreds of massive shapes were circling above the forest. Their wings were so large they covered the moonlight. Their scales reflected faint red light from their glowing eyes. Dragons. Not one, not 10. An army. Marcus stepped back from the window. "This can't be real," he whispered. The injured dragon inside the cabin tried to stand. It failed, but it growled softly, not in fear, in warning. Outside, a deep sound rolled through the sky. Not a roar, a signal. The trees around the cabin bent as powerful wings pushed air downward. The ground shook again. Then something huge landed in front of the cabin. The impact cracked the earth. Marcus grabbed his rifle. His hand was shaking now. The cabin door exploded inward before he could react. Wood pieces flew across the room, and in the doorway stood a dragon 3 times the size of his cabin. Black scales, golden eyes, scars across its face. Power. The air inside the cabin felt heavy, hard to breathe. Marcus aimed his rifle, but deep inside he knew it was useless. The massive dragon lowered its head slightly, staring at him. The smaller, injured dragon behind Marcus let out a weak sound. The large dragon's eyes moved to it. Everything became still. Marcus expected fire. He expected death. Instead, the massive dragon spoke. Its voice was deep and powerful, like thunder inside stone. "You touched the hatchling." Marcus froze. The dragon was speaking his language. "You carried it," the dragon continued. "You healed it." Marcus swallowed. "I didn't want it to die." The large dragon stared at him for several long seconds. Behind it, dozens of other dragons landed around the cabin. Their glowing eyes watched through broken walls. Marcus felt very small. The massive dragon stepped inside carefully. The wooden floor cracked under its weight. The injured dragon slowly crawled forward. It reached the large dragon and lowered its head. The big dragon touched the young one gently with its nose. A strange glowing symbol appeared between them for a moment, then faded. Marcus did not understand what it meant, but the other dragons outside reacted. Some lowered their heads. Some folded their wings. The air changed. The large dragon looked at Marcus again. "You could have killed it." Marcus did not answer. "You could have called your soldiers." "I don't have soldiers," Marcus said quietly. "You are human." "Yes." The dragon's eyes burned brighter. "Humans hunt us." "Not all humans," Marcus replied. For a moment, silence filled the broken cabin. Then the young dragon slowly turned its head toward Marcus. It made a soft sound, not a growl, not a roar, something softer. The large dragon noticed. Its eyes narrowed slightly. Then it said something that made Marcus's heart stop. "It has chosen." "Chosen?" Marcus asked. The dragon's voice became even deeper. "It has marked you." Marcus felt cold. "Mark me for what?" The dragon stepped closer. "For protection." Marcus blinked. Outside, the other dragons moved closer. "By saving a royal hatchling," the massive dragon continued, "you have stepped into our world." "Royal?" Marcus looked at the injured dragon. "You're telling me this is not just a random dragon?" The massive dragon's wings slowly opened, filling the cabin with shadow. This is the heir of the Crimson Sky Clan. Marcus felt his knees weaken. He had not just saved a dragon. He had saved a prince. Or princess. And now an entire dragon army was standing at his broken door. The massive dragon leaned closer, its golden eyes locked on his. From this night forward, it said, "You are either our enemy," the dragons outside growled in unison, "or something far more dangerous." Marcus tightened his grip on the rifle, though he knew it was useless. "And what is that?" he asked. The large dragon's eyes softened slightly. "Our ally." Lightning flashed far away in the clouds. The young dragon slowly moved beside Marcus and lowered its head next to his leg, claiming him, choosing him. The army outside waited for one word, one order. Marcus realized something important in that moment. They were not here to kill him. They were here to judge him, and the decision had not yet been made. The massive dragon turned its head toward the sky and released a powerful roar. Not of attack, not of war, but of declaration. The sound echoed across the forest for miles. Somewhere far away, military satellites picked up the signal. Human radar systems began to react. Unknown flying objects detected. Hundreds, moving together, toward one small forest cabin. Marcus did not know it yet, but by sunrise, it would not just be dragons at his door. Humans were coming too, and they would not be as patient. The dragons were not the only ones watching the sky. Far away, in a cold military control room, alarms began to scream. Multiple aerial signatures detected. Unknown biological mass. Hundreds. They're not aircraft. Satellite images flashed across giant screens. The officers did not need long to understand. Dragons. Within minutes, fighter jets were in the air. Missile systems were activated. Orders were given. Neutralize the threat. Back at the cabin, Marcus stood between two worlds. Behind him, the injured royal dragon, now resting but alert. In front of him, a dragon general older than mountains. Above him, an army of wings covering the sky. The dragon general's golden eyes suddenly shifted upward. He heard it first, the sound of jet engines. Fast, sharp, human. Marcus heard it next. His stomach dropped. "They're coming," he whispered. The dragon army reacted instantly. Wings opened. Claws dug into the earth. Fire glowed behind sharp teeth. The forest shook again. The dragon general turned to Marcus. "Your kind brings war." Marcus shook his head. "I didn't call them." "It does not matter." The sound grew louder. Four fighter jets broke through the clouds. Missile locks activated. Red targeting dots appeared across dragon scales. One of the younger dragons roared in rage. The general raised one massive wing, and the army held still. They were waiting for his order. Marcus understood something in that moment. If one missile fired, the sky would burn, and this forest would become a battlefield. The jets circled once. Then a voice echoed from loudspeakers. "Unidentified civilian at ground level. Step away from the hostile creatures immediately." Marcus looked up. "This is your last warning." The dragon general's eyes burned. "We will destroy them." Marcus stepped forward. "No." The word came out louder than he expected. Both dragons and jets paused for a split second. Marcus raised his empty hands and walked out of the broken cabin. He stood in the open clearing, between the dragon army and the fighter jets. "Marcus, hail!" the loudspeaker voice shouted. "Move away now." He recognized the voice. Colonel Reeves, his former commander. "You don't understand." Marcus yelled. "Step aside. That is a royal-class dragon formation." Royal. So the military knew too. Missile systems locked fully. Marcus could almost feel the heat building in the air behind him as dragons prepared to unleash fire. One mistake, one panic shot, and thousands would die. Marcus turned slightly toward the dragon general. "If you attack," he said quietly, "they will send everything. Tanks, bombers, more soldiers." The general did not blink. "We do not fear your machines." "But the hatchling," Marcus continued. "Will it survive another war?" The dragon general hesitated. Just slightly. That was enough. Above, one jet pilot panicked. "Sir, they're charging energy signatures." Fire warning missile, the colonel ordered. A missile launched, not directly at a dragon, but close enough. It exploded in the sky. A warning. The blast shook the air. Some of the younger dragons roared and lifted into the sky. The general's patience was breaking. Marcus knew he had seconds. He ran forward into the center of the clearing and spread his arms wide. "Stop!" he shouted at the jets. Then he turned and shouted at the dragons. "Stop!" For one impossible moment. Both sides paused. Missile systems still locked. Fire still glowing in dragon throats. Marcus stood alone between them. Small, fragile, human. Colonel Reeves' voice came again. "Marcus, get out of there. You don't know what you're dealing with." Marcus shouted back. "I do. I saved one of them." Silence. Even wind seemed to freeze. The dragon general looked down at Marcus. "You would stand between our fire and your own weapons?" "Yes." "You would die for a dragon?" Marcus did not answer right away. He thought about the injured hatchling, about how it looked at him with fear, about how it trusted him. "Yes," he said finally. The words shocked even him. Above, the pilots waited for the final order. The dragon general slowly stepped forward. His massive body towered over Marcus. He lowered his head until his golden eye was level with the human's face. "You are either the bravest human," he paused, "or the most foolish." Marcus swallowed. "Maybe both." The general studied him. Then something unexpected happened. The injured royal hatchling walked slowly out of the cabin. It was weak but standing. It came beside Marcus and pressed its head gently against his shoulder. A visible glowing mark appeared on Marcus's chest for a brief second. A dragon symbol. The jet's cameras zoomed in. Military analysts gasped. "Sir, he's been bonded." Colonel Reeves' voice changed. "That's impossible." But it was not. The dragon general turned toward the sky. He lifted his wings, not for attack, but for command. The dragon army lowered their energy. Fire faded. Claws relaxed. The sky slowly grew less violent. The general spoke loudly, so both dragons and humans could hear. "This human is under dragon protection." The words echoed across the forest. A powerful declaration. The jets did not fire. They hesitated, because now this was no longer just a dragon threat. This was a human standing with them. Colonel Reeves spoke again, more carefully this time. "Marcus, what have you done?" Marcus looked up at the sky. "I stopped a war." But deep inside, he knew something else had just begun. Because once humans learned that a man had bonded with a royal dragon, they would not let him live in peace. And some humans would not accept peace at all. Far above the clouds, in a distant human command center, new orders were already being prepared. Capture the bonded human, at any cost. The sky became quiet. The jets slowly pulled back. The dragon army remained in position. For a moment, it looked like peace had won. But peace is fragile, very fragile. Far away, inside a hidden underground command center, high-ranking officials were not celebrating. They were angry. A large screen showed Marcus standing beside the royal dragon. The glowing mark on his chest replayed again and again. One general leaned forward. "A human bonding with a royal dragon changes everything." Another officer spoke coldly. "If dragons and humans unite, we lose control." Silence. Then the final order was given. "Deploy Shadow Unit." Back at the forest, the dragon army began to rise slowly into the air. Not leaving, just repositioning. The dragon general turned to Marcus. "You cannot remain here." Marcus looked at his broken cabin. "This is my home. It will not be safe anymore." The injured royal hatchling stood close to him. Its breathing was stronger now, its eyes clearer. Marcus could feel something strange between them. Not words, but emotion, fear, urgency. Then the dragon general suddenly stiffened. He looked toward the trees. Not the sky, the ground. Marcus heard it next. A very soft sound. Metal touching metal. Boots stepping carefully. From all directions. The dragon general growled low. Humans approach. But these were not normal soldiers. No loud engines. No warnings. Only silence. From the shadows of the forest, black-armored figures appeared. No flags. No national symbols. Dark helmets. Advanced weapons. 20 of them. Perfect formation. The leader raised his weapon and aimed directly at Marcus. Target acquired. Marcus stepped slightly forward. "They're not regular army," he whispered. The dragon general's eyes burned with fury. "They come for you." The royal hatchling let out a sharp cry. The black-armored soldiers did not hesitate. They fired. Not bullets. Electric pulse nets. Energy traps. One shot hit the dragon general's wing. Blue electricity spread across his scales. He roared in pain, but did not fall. More nets launched into the sky, trying to capture dragons midair. The forest exploded into chaos. Dragons roared. Fire lit the night. But these soldiers were prepared. Shock grenades exploded. Energy shields activated. They were not here to start a war. They were here for one thing. Marcus. Two soldiers rushed forward using fast-moving boots. One grabbed Marcus from behind. The other injected something into his neck. Marcus tried to fight, but his body became heavy. Weak. He dropped to one knee. The royal hatchling screamed and lunged forward. A soldier fired an electric round at it. The small dragon collapsed, but was not dead. Just stunned. Marcus saw that. Rage filled him. "You touch it again," he tried to say, but his voice was fading. The dragon general tried to move toward Marcus, but 3 electric cannons fired at once. He fell to one knee under the shock. The black-armored leader spoke calmly. "Do not kill the dragons. Focus on the bonded human." Marcus felt hands lifting him. The forest spun around him. The dragon general's golden eyes locked onto his. There was something in that look. Not defeat. Promise. The royal hatchling slowly crawled toward Marcus. Through pain. Through electricity. It reached him just as the soldiers began dragging him backward. Their eyes met. The glowing mark on Marcus's chest suddenly flared bright red. Brighter than before. The soldiers froze. What is that energy spike? The ground trembled. Not from dragons. From deeper. Far deeper. The dragon general's eyes widened slightly. He has awakened it. Awaken what? The soldiers tried to move Marcus faster, but the earth cracked open beneath their feet. A deep, ancient roar rose from underground. Not from the sky. Not from the forest. From below. The leader shouted, "Extract now." Too late. From beneath the earth, a massive shape broke through stone and soil. Ancient scales. Darker than night. Larger than any dragon in the sky. Its eyes opened slowly, burning red. The dragon general lowered his head deeply. Even he showed respect. The black-armored soldiers stepped back. Fear for the first time. One whispered, "That's impossible." The ancient dragon's voice shook the entire forest. "Who dares to chain the chosen one?" Chosen. The word echoed. Marcus, half-conscious, heard it faintly. The soldiers tried to fire again. Their weapons melted midair. Just melted. The ancient dragon's gaze moved to the black-armored leader. "You came for war." Its massive claw lifted. "You will leave with a warning." The ground erupted beneath the soldiers. Shockwaves threw them backward. Their transport aircraft above exploded in fire. Within seconds, the shadow unit was destroyed. Not dead, but completely defeated. Broken. Retreating. Silence returned slowly. The dragon general stood and approached the ancient one. "You have awakened, elder." The massive ancient dragon looked down at Marcus, who was now lying on the ground but alive. "The bond was not random," the elder said. "He is not just a protector." The royal hatchling rested beside Marcus protectively. The elder continued. "He carries the fire mark of a cord." The dragon general's eyes widened. "That mark was lost centuries ago." "Not lost," the elder replied calmly. Waiting, Marcus slowly opened his eyes. He saw the ancient dragon towering above him. Instead of fear, he felt warmth. The elder leaned closer. "You stopped a war today, human." Its deep voice became softer. "But others will not stop." Far away, in the underground command center, emergency lights flashed red. The shadow unit had failed. The ancient dragon had awakened. One officer whispered nervously, "This is no longer containment." Another answered, "This is evolution." Back in the forest, the elder's voice echoed one final time. "The world has changed." Marcus did not fully understand, but he felt it. This was no longer about saving one dragon. This was about something much bigger. And the next battle would not be hidden in a forest. It would decide the future of both species. The forest did not feel the same anymore. The ancient elder dragon stood like a mountain of shadow and flame. The dragon army hovered in the sky. The royal hatchling stayed beside Marcus. And the world was watching. Military satellites captured everything. News networks picked up strange energy readings. Governments panicked. For the first time in history, dragons were not hiding, and a human stood at their center. Marcus slowly pushed himself up from the ground. His body still felt weak from the injection, but something inside him felt stronger than ever. The glowing mark on his chest pulsed softly. The elder dragon lowered its massive head. "You are no accident," the elder said. Marcus shook his head. "I'm just a man who didn't want something to die." The elder's eyes glowed brighter. "That is why you were chosen." The dragon general stepped forward. "Centuries ago," he said, "dragons and humans fought side by side." Marcus blinked. "That's not in our history." "It was erased," the elder replied calmly. "By fear." The air became still. The elder continued. "The fire mark of a cord appears only when a human heart chooses protection over power." Marcus looked down at the glowing symbol on his chest. "You're saying this is not just a bond?" The royal hatchling gently pressed against him again. The elder answered, "It is a bridge." Far away, in the human command center, tension filled the room. The shadow unit had failed. The ancient dragon had awakened. And now military commanders faced a terrible decision. Launch a full-scale attack, or attempt communication. One general slammed his fist on the table. "If we strike now, we might still win." Another officer spoke more quietly. "And if we lose?" Silence. They looked at the screen. Marcus stood between dragons. Not as a prisoner, not as a hostage, but as something else. A leader without trying to be one. Back in the forest, a new sound filled the sky. More jets, more aircraft, but this time slower, cautious. Marcus looked up. The dragon army prepared to rise again. The elder raised one claw, and they waited. Marcus stepped forward. "No more fighting," he said loudly. The dragon general looked at him. "You would speak for both worlds?" Marcus took a deep breath. "If no one else will, yes." The elder watched carefully. This would decide everything. The aircraft hovered above the clearing. Not attacking, just watching. Then a voice came through open radio frequency. "Marcus Hale, this is Colonel Reeves." Marcus closed his eyes briefly. "I'm here." Long pause. "We need to understand what is happening." Marcus looked at the dragons around him. "They're not here to destroy us." Some officers in the control room protested. But Colonel Reeves continued. "And how can we trust them?" Marcus answered clearly. "The same way they trusted me." Silence followed. The royal hatchling stepped forward into the open clearing. It spread its damaged wings slowly, showing it was not a threat, showing vulnerability. The cameras zoomed in. The world watched live now. Marcus turned to the elder. "You said this mark is a bridge." "Yes." "Then let it work." Marcus stepped forward, away from the dragons. Alone again. He stood in the center of the clearing and raised his hands. "If you fire," he said loudly to the sky, "you start a war that will never end." He turned slightly toward the dragons. "And if you burn the sky, you prove their fear was right." Both sides listened, because now neither side wanted to be the first to destroy what could be peace. The elder slowly lifted into the air, not an attack, but in full view, a symbol of power, choosing restraint. The dragon army followed, high above the forest, waiting. Marcus remained on the ground, small, human, but standing firm. Colonel Reeves' voice returned. "All units hold fire." The order spread through military channels. Weapons power down. Target locks disappeared. The sky slowly cleared. The first sunrise light broke through the clouds. Golden light touched dragon scales. And human machines. For the first time, no one attacked. The elder descended again and landed gently. "You have done what warriors failed to do for centuries." Marcus looked exhausted. "I just didn't want anyone else to die." The dragon general bowed his head slightly. A gesture of respect. "Then you are stronger than most kings." The royal hatchling stepped beside Marcus proudly. The elder spoke one final time, loud enough for human microphones to capture. From this day forward, dragons will not hide, and humans will not hunt without consequence. But under the fire mark, the elder looked directly at Marcus. There will be alliance. Far away, in cities across the world, people watched in shock. Some were afraid. Some were hopeful. History was changing, not through war, but through one choice. Marcus looked at the rising sun. He had thought he saved one dragon, but in truth, that dragon had saved the future. The elder's voice became softer now. You will walk between our worlds. Marcus gave a tired half-smile. I was just trying to fix my cabin. The dragon general almost looked amused. You will need a bigger one. The dragon army slowly rose into the sky, not leaving forever, but no longer invading. The royal hatchling remained beside Marcus. It had chosen, and so had he. As the sun fully rose over Blackridge Forest, the world understood one powerful truth. The strongest fire is not destruction, it is protection, and one human had proven that.